training or the retraining if someone wants to pursue a career pathway or they want to change it. Maybe they've been laid off from a job and they want to change their career pathways and their options in their lives. So I just want to leave with that, and we work very hard to make sure that we maintain students and that we hold on to them to graduate. And if you really had time to talk about some of the things that we're doing today that we weren't doing 5 years ago, we are very aggressively pursuing grants, and that is not the easy way to do the work, but grants that will allow us to provide financial assistance to students, either for transportation or if their car battery dies and they can't get to work, or many of our allied health programs, there are assessments at the end of that program that may cost $100 or $67, and we are pursuing grants that provide the level of support for qualifying students, whatever we can do to support them to stay in college, graduate, and get that job. We're very, very committed to that, and those are values and principles that we hold very dear. Student success, high and rigorous achievement for our students. And thinking about diversity, I certainly agree with Dr. Barrett that we struggle as well with diversity at the Technical College. And we do so in two different areas. One, with our employees. Certainly the diversity is not where it needs to be. We do work with that. We do struggle with that. We do look at those numbers. We do think about that process. On the other side, our diversity with our student population is not very good. We are about 75% white, 25% minority. The relationships that we're talking about right now and how we can get in front of minority students, maybe through church activities, maybe through summer, I know you have lots of summer activities. We feel like that we can make a personal appeal to students maybe on a different turf than the college. That we know that we have great equipment, great instructors. We know that we ought to have more minority students in our college. We're working with the high schools, we partner with counselors. We are doing a lot of things, but we are not where we need to be in terms of recruiting minority students. I would greatly appreciate your input on that. And back to the employees, just this week, we had just a chance to sit down informally with one of our minority instructors, who's really built a very, very strong program with us, and we talked about this diversity issue and what did she think that we could do to increase our employee pool, minority applicants for the jobs. All of our jobs are posted on our website, Okefenokee Technical College website. All of our part-time and all of our full-time jobs are posted with all of the criteria that a person has to meet in order to be considered qualified for that position. It is there as transparent as it can be. But what she said was, it struck us like a thunderbolt. She said people don't go to the Okefenokee Technical College website when they're thinking about, I may want a teaching job. They go to Monster.com or something similar like that. So how easy is that? I immediately went to HR and asked her to look into that, Monster.com, and I think there are other partner websites for that. So that was just one example of how we can broaden our reach to attract and appeal to additional candidates, might be Hispanic, African American, but certainly we need to make sure that we are out there in different venues that people are more likely to look at, peruse, and then hopefully submit an application through our HR process.
One of the things that are you amenable to, I guess, change of career opportunities if someone is in a specialty and would like to begin to teach? Are you amenable to, as long as they meet the basic qualifications? And I guess what I'm trying to let everybody here know is not, I think you're amenable to it, that just because you've been working a job for 20 years, you actually may be qualified to be a teacher.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
So you can apply for those jobs. Right. Amen? I want us, because one of the things that Pastor Simmons said last night in that particular piece is if everybody in Ware County could actually, with the Georgia Department of Labor, put their name on file with the Georgia Department of Labor, it will also give a labor base and a labor pool. So when employers are looking at this county, we will have a clear understanding of the talents and the gifts. And it very well may be that somebody may be working on a job, they've been working there for 20 years, making $35,000, but they're actually qualified to make $60,000.
That's right.
But because they're not keyed in and texted into that other venue, they don't know about it. So I just want to look at the creative ways that we can meet what needs to be met, so that there is a level of diversity, a great level of diversity, and we want to help you with that. We're not beating anybody up. We want to help you meet those goals.
We need that help.
Amen.
Literally, just want to take a little bit of a take on this diversity, because we're in the middle of a church, and one of post-segregation, after segregation, one of the biggest things that black folks have to do is try to find a definition of ourselves as something other than the people that have been oppressed.
Right.
It then becomes the church's responsibility to remind us who we are as a community.
Yes.
Not only as a Christian community, but as African American community. Because unlike in the other churches, 7 major historical black churches, we're also a definition of our community. And one of the issues that happened is that post-integration, we started seeing the profound effect of classism.
Amen.
Which is that there begin to be people who believe that I got mines, I've gotten a little higher, and I'm not the same as them.
Mama.
That is profoundly destructive.
Amen.
In the context of education.
Yes.
Because, quite frankly, we still are in the point where we have a couple of people, a generation that still hasn't gone to college. Yes. We have a generation that still, and the main way that you get to know how to go to college, or you get to know how to go to high school, is by people who have been there.
That's right.
But if those people who have been there don't feel responsible for those folks who haven't been there, what we're seeing right now, which is a very small group of African Americans who are beginning to rise, and the rest of the community who are beginning to look like they're falling.
Yes.
And they're not look like they're falling, they literally are being left behind because it is a possibility of relationship. This is different from any other church. This is different. This is an ethnic church reality.
Yes.
What the church can do is to be what it has always been. If you're Madam C.J. Walker, the first black woman millionaire, you sit in the church by maybe somebody who's only making the minimum wage.
Right.
And they treat you the same.
That's right.
And the person who is the minimum wage actually listens to Madam C.J. Walker when she talks, not just thinking she got an attitude, but she might know something with $1 million. And at the same time, Madam C.J. Walker doesn't talk down to the other. In all of this, while we throw diversity up here, and God bless it, continue to do so, we got to realize that the one thing in our project that we keep running into is pick up the phone. We start explaining it was a parenting program, and they said, "Oh, we don't need that because I make too much money." And we said, "No, this is about a parenting program. You got a child." But the idea that you see any program that reaches out to help you, and somehow their other program is a problem. And so what we're praying for is that the church begins to understand and take that role as beginning to make us one. That there is no hi-hats, that we all have to work together to be one, so we get that diversity. The example is that what you just said. That piece of knowledge comes from people who are working in the field who can tell somebody else that. But if they're not talking to each other, then they don't know it. And the one that you're talking to, if he's not listening, then they don't know it either. So we need to recreate the beloved community within the church. And it has to be something the church decides it's important to do. So I know there are all kinds of churches up here, you gave me the mic, so I'm going to say this, right? So here's one of the issues that we have got to confront classism straight up and say, look, we ain't all that.
That's right.
We what God made us to be.
Yes.
And then ultimately we're here to help one another.
That's right.
Because that directly impacts how much diversity we really can do, because that is how we made it before. We made it before because we were a community. Post-segregation, we have to figure out we're still a community. And the color of your skin still defines you as someone in this community. That is a positive thing. Thank God we have aunties. Thank God we have grandma. Thank God we have PhDs. But we should all put them together as one. I don't agree, but that's what I think.
What I want you to know is that that's the man who's preaching tomorrow night. He's an awesome man of God. As we close, I'm reminded of a man by the name of A.G. Jackson from Alabama. And you mentioned C.J. Walker. People didn't like necessarily have a problem because he used to speak at a lot of places, and they had a problem with his English. They said he didn't, but A.P. Gasson was a millionaire, literally many times over. And people had a problem with him because of the classism piece. And he stood up, I'll never forget, he stood up at a rally when Reverend Jesse Jackson was running for president, and he said, people didn't want me to get up here because they say, I can't speak right. But I can say something they can't say. I hear the millionaire. Let's give our guests, our brothers,